The news out of the UK is that their Labour government is planning to house asylum seekers in newly built or refurbished council homes backed by a £100 million pilot scheme aimed at replacing migrant hotels. The scheme follows government projections showing net migration of almost 1.2 million people between 2026 and 2030, creating a demand for roughly 500,000 additional homes. Analysis based on Office for Budget Responsibility suggest this could mean nearly 40% of all new homes built in the UK by 2030 could go to migrants. 40% of all new homes built in the UK by 2030 could go to migrants. And you want to tell us that replacement theory is still a theory? That's statistics. That's numbers. This is a choice that people made when they voted. They have elected leftist politicians. This is a result of leftist governments, leftist policies, open borders. And call me old-fashioned. Call me crazy. Regardless of political affiliation, I believe that all politicians should represent and serve the people who elected them. Not migrants, not future residents. This is suicide. We are watching a once great nation commit suicide. It's very sad. Over in Belgium, a far right, extreme far right, because that's what they call anyone with common sense now, a political activist named Dries van Langenhove has been convicted a second time for hate speech. He posted this on X. A very sad announcement. I have just been convicted a second time for hate speech, and it is only due to a technicality that I could not immediately be sent to jail to the judge's frustration. In an ironic turn of events, it's actually thanks to my previous prison sentence for memes in a private group chat that I am now still free in a physical sense at least. Call me naive, but I didn't think they would take it this far, given that this precedent criminalizes many of the arguments used by even the most moderate politicians critical of mass migration. In February 2024, I gave a lecture at Catholic University Leuven wherein I linked mass migration to crime and a deterioration of our quality of life. Every single point I made was 100% the truth and based on scientific evidence. Cynically, even the judge that convicted me admits as much by writing in his verdict. Quote, even if all of the statements made by Van Langenhove are based on scientific evidence and statistics, it makes no difference to the criminal intent. Van Langenhove is not charged with spreading false information. He is charged with presenting facts in a way that incites hatred against persons on the grounds of one or more of the protected criteria in the anti-racism law. He is charged with spreading facts, with presenting facts, data. Data is racist. Data can land you in prison, he continues. That's a lot of words to say. He just wants to send me to prison for speaking the truth. Even the regime media write, quote, it did not matter to the court that Van Langenhove was quoting scientific sources. The judge argued that Van Langenhove's main message was that a big part of the societal problems like insecurity, housing shortages, and lowering educational standards are due to mass migration. You may think the regime media are being sympathetic to me in that first sentence, but in reality, they are warning people, even if you speak the truth, if you go against our narrative, we will crush you in every way possible. Both the public prosecutor and the judge did not present a single real argument as to how or against whom I would have incited hatred. So even if I would accept their crazy dystopic law, I still did not break it. The only argument they present is that I created a hostile atmosphere of us versus them in regards to migrants. But even if this silly argument, which is not even a punishable offense, is not true, to me, the deadly disease is self-hatred, and one of its worst symptoms is replacement migration. My enemy is thus not the migrants themselves, but those orchestrating the mass migration. Sadly, in Belgium, evidence is not needed and vibes are enough to put someone in jail. Given the fact that I have another court case coming up in September and I have a dozen active criminal investigations for hate speech, time is running out for me. I have already paid more than 420,000 euros in legal fees and there is no ending in sight. I have been in an intense battle of attrition for 8 years and must now regroup to make sure I can still win. If you want to help me, you can do so via the links below. If you can help in other ways, please contact me via DM. If you live in a country that still has free speech, never let them touch it. However noble they make the motives sound, because this is where it leads to. Every day, I feel so lucky to be born in America. And the thing about hate speech that people don't think through is, what is hate speech? Who do you want determining and defining what hate speech is? If you hate Donald Trump, would you want it to be Donald Trump? Do you want a singular power determining what you can and cannot say? Who is the arbiter of what is considered hate? People do not have the right to not be offended. People do not have the right to not have their feelings hurt. That idea is nearly gone throughout Europe as they cater to the migrants' feelings over and over and over again. They're prioritizing migrants over their citizens' rights. The left is always talking about how the right is taking their rights away, but without free speech, with censorship, we do not have freedom. When Daye was 23, he founded an organization to encourage political activism among Flemish youths. He set up private Facebook and Discord groups where members could discuss anything. The unmoderated Discord group had 164 members, and one person in the group asked people to post their edgiest memes. This and nothing more set the stage for Van Langenhove's felony that he discussed in that tweet. Well, the people in the Discord chat responded with crude, inappropriate memes. One image showed a frame from a classic Disney cartoon with the caption, "If you watch Cinderella backwards, it's about a woman who learns her place." Another featured Adolf Hitler with the caption, "You can't be a racist if there's only one race." The memes, it's not great. They were never available to the public. They surfaced only after someone hired a hacker to infiltrate the chats. Well, the government treated this as the crime of the century and raided the homes of 11 participants. Van Langenhove never endorsed this material. He said, "I have never seen them, liked them, or anything else." But that goes unreported. Politico wrote that he was convicted of inciting violence and denying the Holocaust, which obviously is not true. The Associated Press claims that he was convicted of spreading hate. Obviously not true. All he did was create these chats. The lower court banned Van Langenhove from running for public office for 10 years. That was later overturned. They also suspended the prison term that he got from this, but it can be imposed at any time if authorities are upset by something that he does. He takes to X to write, and this was June 20th, 2025. On June 20th, 2025, he took to X to write, "The consequences of this verdict are insane. They're doing this to me to send you a message. It is now possible in Europe to be convicted for memes posted by someone else in a group chat. People will now not only self-censor en masse, they will also distance themselves from each other out of fear of being convicted for what others joke about." They want people discouraged from fighting. They want to silence people. You can't let them succeed. Personal story. One of my friends, I was texting with him on WhatsApp, one of my friends in the UK, and he turned on disappearing messages for 24 hours. And I'm like, we're not doing anything sketchy. Why do you have disappearing messages turned on for? It just was weird. I asked him, he said his lawyers advised him to turn on disappearing messages with everyone because people can screenshot even a meme that you sent a year ago, and take it to the police and you can get arrested. What a sad way to live your life. We need people who are willing to stand up and save future generations. You have to live your life for the next generation. Otherwise, the next generation will suffer. I'm going to pivot to the next story because we do have a kid in Scotland who took a stand, and I could not be more proud of someone that I don't know. His parents did such a good job. Oh, I'm so proud of this kid. This was a young Scottish boy in the Beaver Scouts. The group visited a mosque as part of an educational trip tied to the Scouts Faith Activity Badge, which involves learning about different religions and cultures by visiting places of worship. Well, this one boy quietly stood his ground, did not kneel or bow while staying in the group. He also reportedly didn't wear any of the provided head covering like the others. Hero. Incredible kid. By the way, this is indoctrination. This isn't teaching about other faiths. It's normalizing Islam. It's forcing a religion, a culture, because Islam is a culture, not just a religion, into countries that were not built on Islamic ideas. And thank God for it, by the way. Thank God our country was not built on Islamic ideas, or the West wouldn't have the freedoms that we do. Just take a look at Islamic countries. And do you know what this type of cultural sensitivity leads to? Suicide.